You know what's coming, right? If you're not into theories or taekook, please just do yourself this favor and close the tab. Stop watching. I wanted to do this analysis since 3 weeks ago, but I couldn't do it because of some YouTube issues. But it's good that I waited because I actually ended up finding more things about it as the time passed. As I mentioned before, Taehyung was supposed to release a new song composed by himself, and we all had been anticipating for it. We weren't really sure if it was Taekook related or not, but just knowing that we could hear a new masterpiece from him was enough to keep us all hyped. And I have to admit that it was great. The song was lovely and the lyrics were written so beautifully. I loved it. Anyway, after listening to it and reading the lyrics, I noticed things that implied the song could be directed to Jungkook. Remember one thing, when it comes to BTS songs, you can't really say this song is about this or that because a lot of their songs have double meanings. Even RM mentioned that he really doesn't like writing songs that just have one meaning, or the songs that have one meanings in general. Even the songs that were composed or written by other members like Taehyung, for example Stigma. If you pay attention to the lyrics, it doesn't really match with the storyline they brought up in the Wings album. But if you pay attention to everything else to it, like the name or the implication of it, it does match. So it's like they put a lot of effort in making it about a lot of different things. In this case, I think this song was at least directed to 2 different people. He already mentioned a few times that said ARMY is a part of his scenery, and he said in another concert that it's related to it.
ARMY! You have done so much for me, making unforgettable memories and always showing love. Thank you so much for this good memory. You are all part of my story, memory, and scenery.
And he also mentioned it on vkookv as well. He said that ARMY is the main character. But keyword, main character, it means there are other characters involved. I think in one perspective we can say that it was related to ARMY. It was directed to ARMY. I can totally see it in that perspective. But I can also see it in another perspective that says it was related to Jungkook. I'll tell you why I think that way. The song is actually related to 4oclock based on its date and also its lyrics. Personally, I think what happens in scenery is what happens to Tae after what happened to him in 4oclock. Let's focus on what we said about 4oclock first so we can move on to scenery. So technically, the song starts by Taehyung saying that he wrote something toward Moon. And you have to pay attention that Moon is actually a person in here. In here, he's talking to the moon. He's saying that even though the light of my candle is nothing compared to the light you bring to me, I'm gonna just light it up because I can't have your light. We all know BTS members all have some sort of animal signature. For example, Jungkook is a rabbit, or Taehyung is a tiger. In Jimin's case, he is a bird. And in here, Taehyung is talking about a bird who comes to the park that he's sitting and starts singing, "Hey, where are you?" and starts talking to him. So as you can see, this song has more than just 2 characters. One of it is Taehyung himself, the second one is the moon, and the third one is Jimin. Namjoon actually talked about it on vkookv once, and he said that he asked Taeyoung what the song was about or who was it about, and Taeyoung said it was mostly about Jimin, not entirely, mostly. So obviously it's not just about himself and Jimin. Another character is involved.
깊은 밤을 따라서 너의 노랫소리가 한 걸음씩 두 걸음씩 붉은 아침을 데려와.
So as he keeps talking to the bird, to Jimin, and they keep like singing or whatever, daylight comes, which means moon is going to go away.
새벽은 지나가고 저 달이 잠이 들면 함께했던 푸른 빛이 사라져.
And as you can see, he's saying that yes, when the morning comes, the moon goes away and he can't have it anymore. And even the light and the blue shades that it had disappears with it as well. So from what I get is that from the beginning he started talking to this moon person and told them something. And he was like, even though I can't have you, at least I can have this small light that is like nothing compared to you, but at least I have it. And then as he's sitting in a park, Jimin comes and they talk, and Jimin is like, why are you sad? And as they keep talking, the moon leaves. And in another word, Taeyoung loses that person. If you've been keeping up with my theories, you'll know what I'm gonna say. Jungkook is actually the moon. Why I'm saying this is because there were a lot of hints about Jungkook being the moon. Even once Namjoon said that Jungkook wanted to be our moon, like personally referring to him as a moon, and it wasn't even the only time. And it wasn't just Jungkook. Taeyoung and Jungkook both had been associated with moon a lot. For example, in the recent Hyundai commercial that we saw them both being under the moon, just watching it, and then Taeyoung kept trying to just bring down the moon, and Jungkook was like very surprised. What I'm trying to say is that not only they refer to him as a moon, they also keep hinting that it has something to do with both Taeyoung and Jungkook. Anyway, now that we're done with this part, we can jump into scenery and see what it has to do with the whole story and what happens next. Do you hear the sounds that he's making in the song? For example, the sound of him walking on the snow, or the sound of him breathing, or the sound of the bell. It's actually because he mentioned that he was inspired from a movie called Love Letter. Because in that movie, we could also see a lot of sceneries and we could hear these sort of voices in the beginning. But here's the thing, we could hear the sound of the main character's breathing and the sound of her walking, but after watching the movie, I still didn't hear any bell sounds. So it must have come from somewhere else. But here comes the interesting part. Someone mentioned that on February 23rd broadcast of Yang Nam's show, Jungkook revealed that he wanted to meet someone and get married with them when he hears the sound of a bell ringing when he passes by them. And the idea was coming from another Japanese movie, this time an animation movie called Your Name. So it actually makes sense if the sound of the bell was also coming from another Japanese movie.
꽃들이 가득한 거리에 오늘도 그대를 보내요 내 안에 담겨질까요?
So first thing first, he's talking to someone, right? He's saying that today I saw you in a street full of flowers, and then I wondered if I can capture it, if it can fill me in. You gotta know that by a street full of flowers, he just meant that this person is happy. Because when you say, for example, that I want to go to a place filled with flowers with you, it means that I want to be happy with you. So he's saying that, hey, today I saw you happy again. That's why I just wondered if I can actually capture it. Another significance that it has is about spring. because this particular scene is happening on spring, but after this we're gonna go for winter. Maybe that's why this song was really related and hinted on spring day as well. Also, do you hear the sound of him taking pictures? That's actually something that happened in Love Letter. To summarize the story, this movie is about a woman who loses her fiance. But after losing him, she finds an old address with his name somewhere, and to move on from her past, she decides to just write a letter to her past husband. Not expecting any replies, but to her surprise, someone actually with the same name replies to her letter. It turns out that the person who replied to her is not her fiance. It's actually her fiance's old female schoolmate who happened to have the same name as her fiance. When the old schoolmate gets the letter, she starts thinking about all her old memories with her old classmates, and that makes her try to take pictures from all over the place to collect her memories. Since Taeyang himself said that the movie inspired him somehow for the song, we can actually just base it on some parts of the movie. And if we put this part at the beginning of the song, we'll see that okay, so maybe Taehyung is also trying to collect his memories and just taking pictures of everything because of what happened in the past. Remember, the past was 4 o'clock. That's why what we're gonna hear now is going to be related to Taehyung's past in winter about 4 o'clock. That his feelings are still stuck in the past. On that same night that he wrote a very long letter to the moon and was saying that I can have you, but at least I can have something more smaller than you. And he ended up losing the moon. So he's saying that I still have the same feelings, my feelings are still stuck in that night. And then he says, this song is toward you. I think by you, he's meaning the person who is listening to it. It can be Army or it can be someone else. Two implications from this verse. One is that he's seeing and hearing the sound of the camera from the moon because he's just reviewing his memory. And the second one is that he's hearing the sound of the camera from the moon because moon is also taking pictures of him.
I still wonder, beautiful story. Still wonder, best part.
He's wondering about his story and what would happen or what will happen in the future at the best. He says, hey, the story is not gonna end here. I still have more stories to tell, and in the next story, I wonder what happens, but I really want to make you mine. That he missed to capture a certain moment of his life, that's why he's regretting it. And as you saw before, he was talking about the same night of the park, so he's saying that he regrets that night and he wished he could capture it, he could live in it still.
후회가 돼 다시 그 찰나가 있기를.
He hopes one day to go back to it and keep it all together for himself and not to lose his chance this time. Referring to 4 o'clock, remember the blue shades that he lost that night? He's saying that now he wants to collect them all together again to bring back the moon. same moment he's talking to the moon, because previously he said that he's trying to just collect all the moonlights together. So in here he's like, hey, come back to me like you did before, like you did yesterday.
발자국 남기고 떠나가시면 제가 그 온길 지킬게요. 흑백 속에 남길게요.
This last part is a special one. He's saying that even if it doesn't happen, just leave some footprints for me, something I can follow. So I can keep it safe, I can keep it in my camera in black and white, and just make sure it stays the way it is. After releasing the song, he actually posted 2 posts on vkookv, and in the first one we could see that he just posted a picture he painted about his song scenery, and on the second one he turned it black and white, like how he mentioned in the song that I'm gonna keep it in black and white. So whoever he was talking to, whatever it was going on, it should also be presented in this picture as well. And as you can see, what we see in here is a person who is the same color as the snow, standing next to a tree, looking at the moon, and it's snowing. So the key parts are snow and a tree that doesn't really have any leaves or anything, and a moon, and the person. So about the snow, so obviously it's not the road filled with flowers, the happiness that he was talking about at the beginning of his song. It's actually a place filled with snow, with a tree that is not as fresh as it used to be. And as you can see, there is the moon. So the moon is actually an important part of the story. It's actually a character. And as you can see, it has mustaches and everything. So it can actually be referred to a boy. I'm not saying that only boys have mustaches. And the thing is that the moon has like big eyes, big nose, and thick lips. And once Taeyang actually drew a picture like that of Jungkook, so the similarities that he put in here and there can mean that, yeah, this can be actually a guy like Jungkook looking back at him, like how they've been saying that Jungkook is trying to be the moon. The whole thing about him trying to remember his memories and everything actually reminds me of that Twitter post he tweeted on Jungkook's birthday with Jungkook's picture, and then he said, I miss the old days. Another thing I need to mention is the date that it was released. It was released on 13th of January, and as you can see, January is the first month of the year, and Jungkook's birthday is on 1st of September, and Taeyang's birthday is on 13th of December, and we also have 30 here. So 13th of January is actually both their birth dates together. Anyway, so after he released the song, Jungkook also tweeted 2 videos of himself reacting to Taeyang's scenery music. And he started singing it, just acting goofy and all, and just trying to support him, which was very interesting. And it's not even all. After a while, when they were on a concert and Taeyang started singing Scenery, Jungkook was just shaking his hand for him and singing along with him, and Taeyang was staring at him most of the time. So it was very interesting to me.
Hi.
꽃들을 가득한 거리에 오늘 또 그대를 보내요. 내 안에 삼켜질까 새벽달이 지나고 원해 지금 내 감정을 담아요. 노래 그댈 향해 밤하늘 다르게 비춰진 필름의 소리를 들어요 I still wonder, wonder, beautiful star Still wonder, wonder, the sky I still wonder, wonder, never stop I want to make you mine
Remember, at the end of the day, these are all just theories. They can be real, they can not be real. They are just based on my personal opinion and personal thoughts about the song. After following the hints they were trying to give about the song. It's just for you to consider the possibilities.
But I still